can't hear. Can you hear me? I can't hear you at all. Oh my God. I don't hear you at all. Uh-oh. All right. I still can't hear you. Damn. Of course. Can't hear shit. Oh my God. Right. I can't hear you, Ryan. Go back in. This is crazy. Why can I not hear a thing on my alt? Oh my God.
Here we go.
This is crazy. This is crazy.
Nick, can you hear me?
Oh, holy
Can
shit.
you hear
Wait,
me?
I think I can hear you now. Oh my God, I can hear you.
There we go.
Oh,
awesome. Fantastic. Wow. So let's jump right into this. I've wasted enough time.
I don't know.
I know, man. Way to go on we got this crazy rainstorm right now, and way to go on everything getting shut out. So, all right, can everybody hear us okay? We're going to try to shoot this one more time. Fantastic. Thank you so much, Bruce. Thank you so much, Dan Thompson. Absolutely fantastic friend of the show. Fantastic friend of mine. Thank you so much for joining. Mike Taus over at Opus X Society. Look at that. I got you back for another episode. Thank you so much, Mike, Bruce, and Lou. Fantastic. So, Nick, give everybody a quick little rundown of who you are, your cigars, and I'll let you explain to everybody what I am smoking and then what you're smoking tonight. Show's yours.
Well, Ryan, like panic mode, but my name is Nick Syris. For people that don't know who I am, I'm the brand owner and blender of a cigars, also known as LH Premium Cigars, and been in the industry, been in the cigar world. Well, if I go back, I start telling the story. The reason I got so into cigars actually coincided with the first issue of Cigar Aficionado magazine. I look on the stand and I go, what, they got magazines about cigars? I took that magazine, and it's the first magazine I read cover to cover. I was hooked. I got the bug. Fortunate enough to make friends with some people in the industry very early on. I grew up in my business at the time. We're in New Jersey, and I got to be his senior, and I just started hanging around the industry for a long time. Loved it, smoked it. It was I was in electronics, home theater electronics, high-end home theater and computers, and I got involved a lot of work in the royal family, with the royal family of Saudi Arabia, and started doing a lot of work out there. And the gentleman that I risk smoker, and I think we just kind of bonded over cigars. So I always say that this magical leaf is what brings people together. My favorite tagline is, I believe it's the great equal to Saudi Arabia, with a nobody like me sitting and becoming fast friends and bonding over a cigar. You know, you could have a CEO and a blue collar guy. I was drawn to this magical leaf and wanted to get into the business in some way. And I could tell you that it happened organically. Cuba's in growth and journey in this industry. I'm not Cuban. I'm of Greek descent. I was born in Greece. So I got to Cuba by way of Saudi Arabia. And 5, 6, it was time to close that 20 plus year of my life and go into something else. And the Saudi prince said, "Hey, Nick, why don't we open Arabia?" And I'm like, well, I definitely don't want to live there, but you know, it sounds like a good project. I've been in retail my whole life in some form. Let's see what we can do. And lounge called the La Vida Havana, you know, lounge. And La Vida Havana means the life of Havana. And basically we're trying to give a taste of Cuba to the desert. That's how we started. That's how La Vida Havana had its start.
Awesome.
This is a monologue. I hope I can still hear you.
Oh yeah, no. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm good. I just was a little nervous in the beginning because we had that panic attack.
Yeah, no worries. I've got so many different ways
I'm a tech guy. Okay, we opened up a lounge, and as you may or may not know, most of the world, especially back in 2008 when we first opened up that lounge, all the Saudis and most of the world outside of the U.S. Was smoking Cuban cigars. So it became my job to somehow deal with the official distribution channels. Can be quite troublesome. And when you have people of unlimited disposable income willing to spend, just wanted to have it yesterday. So made my first trip to Cuba in 2008. Immediately fell in love with everything about Cuba. Place of cigars. I got to meet and befriend Alejandro Robina initially, and I just wanted his charisma and his knowledge. I do now, or at least the passing Spanish, and got involved with procuring and getting tobacco and cigars to Saudi Arabia's, get some blends with some of the best master blenders in Cuba. One who is my mentor, we talked briefly before the show about mentors. He is the guy that actually, he's about 80, late 80s right now, but he is credited with blending the Trinidad lines, the Siglo series, and a bunch of other stuff. Anyway, I passed everything through him. I went through the blending school, believe it or not, in Cuba, which I don't know this to be factual, but and I learned a lot, and I loved every bit of it. It became so fascinating to me. And originally, we were making custom blends. We made a blend, and not the band that you have on your cigar, Ryan, but it was just a very simple black band with the letters LH. It's the logo, and that's where we started to make a brand or anything like that. But a lot of the Saudis, they love to travel, and they're also very generous with their cigars, and they're smoking cigars. And before you know it, I'm getting calls from all over the place going, "I got this cigar with this LH on it. I don't know what it is, but maybe you can." And of course, they gave us. So I started shipping out of Saudi Arabia because that's where we were based. A lot of the cigars. And then from there, can you hear me? You can't hear me? No, I can't hear you. Oh, Jesus. Oh, no. You know, yeah, okay. I'll do that. Oh, boy. Nothing in here. Shit. Oh, my God. All right. So this is going to be a monologue. It sounds here. Testing. Apparently you can hear me, but let's talk. This is wonderful. Oh, I can hear you now.
Yes. Okay,
You
good.
there?
I just had to set. Awesome. We're good. Okay, so talk about the cigar. No more issues. I'm not touching anything. I don't even want to scroll through my subscriber or to my sponsors, but I will. So, all right. Awesome. Thank you guys. So, Nick, tell us about
Yes.
this cigar. It's a closed foot. It's a 7x48 that I know, but tell us a little bit about the cigar and then tell us about what you're smoking. Then we're going to get into you.
Okay. The Havana brand started with three blends. The Claro line, which is a Connecticut shade Ecuadorian. The Colorado line, which is seeded Ecuadorian wrap. And what you're smoking is a Criollo wrapped line. It comes in 7 different sizes. Yours is a Churchill, as is Robusto, Toro, a Gordo, 6x60, going down the line. Mild, medium, and full. And what I want to tell people, brand and blends, is it's kind of known as the bridge from old school. So all my palate and taste and background are all Cuban based. I wanted to make a cigar for people who normally only smoke and venture to the non-Cuban side. To try to explain that in the sense that, look, if you are used to smoking whatever it is, and that's the only cigar you think it's crap, good, or indifferent, that becomes your de facto standard. So that all he smoked were those little perfectos, preferidos, or whatever you call them. They were $2 cigar, but you know what? You gave him anything else, and he wouldn't like it. The reason I bring this up is because people that normally only smoke Cuban cigars, non-Cuban cigars, a little too strong or a little too more complex. So the LH cigar, the Claro, like that. The Colorado was to give it a little bump up into the medium range, and a little bit stronger, closer to what the normal American market would smoke. Three blends, even though they were designed for and made for consumption, I brought those into the U.S. a few years ago, and I will say, very smooth, and the construction is paramount. That you just want to make sure that a cigar smokes right, is constructed. You're not going to have burn issues. So that's the first and most important thing in any cigar. And I agree, we definitely have that going on. I see you putting different things on. I'm looking. I don't know. Can you hear me? I think you're out. I wish we could start over. Oh my God, I can't hear crap. Ryan, I think I'm going to log back in. This is great. Well, there was a way. I know you can hear me, but I don't know why I can't hear you. So this is going to be a monologue since. Well, oh my! I feel like I'm on. Okay. Oh, you're back in. I think I hear
Yeah.
sound. Ryan, are you there? Okay. Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Okay. Yes, I can.
Okay. Good.
Can.
Okay. I don't know what's going on. I don't know if it's me, if it's you, but I hate technology right now. It doesn't matter. So, anyways, okay. So
technology as well. Yes.
So you get into the cigar industry. What made you want to start your own brand?
It's funny, when I initially started, I had master blenders making those private blends for the private clientele of the. But I really got so fascinated and interested and wanted to learn as well and make my own cigars. And it was a time my future partner who said to me, "Hey Nick, why don't you try to make a blend? You know, your palate's excellent. You seem to be getting a grasp of this." And I said, "You know what? I don't know, in Saudi Arabia, these guys are going to really want a non-Cuban cigars. I mean, we tried Padron into the region, the first guy to bring Fuente, and I was the first distributor of both for a very short time." And I said, "You know, these masters, I'm having difficulty. Who am I to think that I can make a cigar that would compete not only with them but with Cubans?" I realized I was good at is basically emulating blends and being able to kind of was in my mind. If somebody told me they wanted this and that, and I wanted a little bit this, I was able to. So I said, "You know what? Let me try this." So I started blending. I fell in love with blending. That's my favorite thing, other than smoking it, of course. And that's why, like, it would have been a lot smarter in a lot of ways. I knew a lot of people in this industry, and they were good friends of mine. So if I could have had, EPC Carrillo or well, a lot of these guys make a blend for me, it would be a much easier sell. But I really wanted it to be a product that came out of my taste buds, and so I did. And even though the blends were all not intended for the U.S. market, I thought bar that has merit, and I really would like. As an American, I'd wanted to get people to the U.S., so I brought it over here. And of course, people that love find that there is something reminiscent of the Cuban cigar, something that reminds you of blends. And now I see that you're back.
No, you're good. I'm adjusting some things. Can you still hear me?
I can now, yes.
Okay, perfect. So yeah, continue where you left off.
So I brought the LH brand over here, and 17 in Cuba, I met a guy named Jim Robinson. For those who don't know, is known by the moniker or the name. He wears the hat and the glasses. He's also the brand owner of a brand that's called. So Jim was there, and he ran out of his own cigars, and so I started feeding him LH cigars, and he loved them, and he was smoking them for the week. He said, "You know, Nick, we really need to get people smoking these cigars in the U.S. Step back. He asked me, "Can I carry these?" And I'm like, "Sure." And because he's also in Pittsburgh called the Leaf and Bean. So he started selling the LH. He said, "Nick, we got to get more people to get your, be aware of your cigars." He's like, to sell your brand or your blends, but if you make a blend for me, get him to sell it, and we'll see how it goes. And I said, "Well, Jim, I've gotten to know what you like as far as cigar taste. I think I can make something that you will, whether you sell one stick of it, I'll know you're gonna enjoy it." So I went, the first blend that I ever made for the U.S. palate in mind was, originally was supposed to be called the La Vida Isla. La Vida meaning the life.
We lost Nick. Awesome. Oh my God. All right. I'm going with a whole new studio. I'm not using this anymore. This is garbage.
Okay.
All right.
We're back. All of a sudden
now
it went out for a second, but we're back.
I'm now going to be switching software after tonight because this has happened to me a few times. Sorry, guys. I'm going over to a new platform. Literally, next time you see the show, I will be on a completely new platform. I'm tired of this. This is absolute crap, and it's disrespectful to Nick. And Nick, please forgive me.
I'm sorry that. No, not at all. I mean, it's difficult. It's like I'm speaking kind of to you, but I can't hear you some of the times. But anyway,
yeah, I'm so sorry. Please forgive me.
Right.
I'm changing, hey, listen, like I said, platforms.
Hey, I'm glad you had me on, and I love talking about not only my cigars, but cigar people that are listening, and it is what it is. It's about the lifestyle. So let me get back to Jim just to finish the Jim story. So the original cigar was supposed to, right before we were going to launch at IPCPR, we got hit with a cease and desist from someone that, and we continued forward. We had to hire a lawyer, the whole bit. But in the meantime, Jib said, "Nick, I don't care what we call this damn cigar. Let's just call it the Nick and Jim." And I go, "Jim, I love the idea, but we made a logo, we have a band. How about we call it the Nick and Jim PBE, which stands Jim's, in my opinion, a marketing genius with the Leaf by Oscar idea and all that."
Yep.
So I said, "Why don't we make a cigar and make it look like Leafs?" So what I just, we did is we took a white paper band, and literally I went on the internet and I found the most crooked font I could find, looked like a typewriter, and it just says Nick and Jim PB.
So that was distributed. That was distributed in the Smokin' Cigar of the Month Club, by the way, 6 months ago. Nick, I never put two and two together until I saw the band earlier today. I was like, "Is that the same Nick?" Like I said, I try not to do research on this because I try to just come into this as a conversation. So that's awesome. That's a fantastic cigar.
Well, I'm glad you enjoyed it, but what's even funnier is, I had my distribution, and Jim was selling it up in South Florida one time. I walk in and I knew the humidor manager, and I see, it's kind of distinctive, the white paper band. I see him smoking, and I'm like, "Hey man, what are you smoking? Have you tried this? It's called the Nick and Jim." And I'm like, "Are you messing with me?" And he's like, "What do you mean?" I go, I'm the Nick of the Nick and Jim." Put it in. He said, "Hey, try one of Jim's new sticks." So, somehow the Nick and the Nick and Jim, a lot of people didn't know who that was, And being he wanted people to get to know me as a blender and some of my blends. And I appreciate, and I always, I'm very thankful of his people enjoyed it. And what happened around right before the pandemic is I was starting to mess with some different blends and using, I can Jim. It's a Vuelta Abajo seeded hybrid seed that Habanos was using, and I managed to get some of those we lease in Ecuador, and I came out with this. It just has such a. I love this wrapper, so I wanted to build a whole line, kind of based on to the Nick and Jim line. And he said, Nick, I have the Leaf by Oscar, I have the Island Jim. You got it, brother. Go ahead, just run with it. So I came out with and called it the Nick. Now, originally it was going to be just the Nick. I was going to make one cigar. I came out with a cigar that was the first figurado that I tapered on the top and bottom, 64 gauge in the middle. And I was really called the Panzone. And the funny thing about that story, when I was at the factory, I'm hearing all these guys and they're talking, and I hear this guy going, Panzone this and Panzone that. And I'm like, I looked over at my partner. I said, what is the hell? What is a pot guy, like a pot bellied? And I'm like, oh.
So a Panzone is a pot belly guy.
Right? A pot belly guy. That's what Panzone means. Just goofing on me and messing with me. But apparently it wasn't. It was because of the tapered shape of the cigar. So it was called the Panzone, but everybody kind of was very, very well received. The next cigar I made is, people that like that, they were equating it to similar to in shape to like the Drew. So they said, hey man, what about making like a smaller version of that? Similar to like a flying pig. Now, Drew Estates didn't invent the flying pig. The flying pig cigar has been around in Cuba for many years before they popularized it. So I came out with a similar one. Yeah, that's the Panzone. I came out or the Botella, which just means bottle, bottle size. So it looks like a little bottle shape, smaller version of the Panzone. Now these two cigars, again, they're both my cigars, the LH and the Nick. They're very slow burners. So to give you an example, in my Toros, I use 7 leaves where most people will use 6 tight draw, but there's a little bit of resistance to it on purpose because it's one of those cigars you can put down, walk away, and start smoking, and it'll still burn, but not excessively where just like, you take three pulls and your cigar is done. So I like that, they're somewhat well packed in Cuba, a little bit tighter on the draw or more resistance. But anyway, so I made the Panzone, the Nick Jr., and I even do a 7x70 that people were asking for. That's a little big, but so anyway, the Nick line's been doing great. People enjoying it as a business. I love the fact that I can make a living doing what I love to do. But the part that I enjoy the most is when people enjoy my cigars and tell me about it, new stuff. My next one is going to be, because people say, hey, this is great. A lot of people seem to like stronger and stronger cigars. But having said that, what I call nicotine bombs, or sometimes in some cases
pepper bombs,
fermented tobacco and pepper bombs. I mean, so even the next will be a much stronger let's put it this way: it'll be the strongest cigar that I have released in my cigars, but it'll still be very well fermented. For some people, it's not going to have that harshness. One thing I love about my cigars is that no matter how many you smoke, at the end of the day, you don't feel that harshness. You know, you can
in your throat.
smoke. You know, yeah, that's like one thing I'm happy like with the Nick and Jim. You know, Jim, he smokes, no joke, 10 cigars since he's gotten his hands on the Nick and Jim. I'd say he's single-handedly smokes all of them, but he smokes them all the time. If you ever see Jim anywhere, he will be smoking. You know, he's the best advertising or marketing. He's the only marketing I do.
Yeah,
he goes
I would
around
love to.
and people say, "Hey, what are you smoking?"
I would Isla Jim's one that I'm trying to hunt down myself. But so I want to talk to you a little bit about what you showed me at the beginning in the green room behind the studio when our internet connection was working flawlessly. So again, everybody, I apologize. I'm switching streaming services. This was the third attempt and I had problems. I'm done with Restream. I'll be going to StreamYard. But Nick, I wanted everyone to see. Look at these beautiful, what I would call.
Let me show people
travel humidors, but they are absolutely fantastic.
I'm not going to touch the.
No,
camera.
just bring one in front of you. Just bring one in front.
Do it. Well, here's what happened. It's kind of an interesting story. I met this gentleman, actually not a person that works with leather, and he had this beautiful bag. And for Colombians, people that are from Colombia or from that area, they call these things cigarillos. And I saw it, and a good friend of mine was selling them in the U.S. for him. And the quality, let me get it. Incredible. It is.
Those are gorgeous.
This is, let me show you this thing. This is just amazing. When I saw it, I was like, wow, leather.
Wow.
I mean, it's real, man. It's real. And so this bag, it's got a little spot on the back. It's got a handle to carry it. It's got a strap. This is great, I think, in Europe or in Latin America because, it kind of, in my opinion, it's a little too small and it kind of looks like, I mean, just the smell. But here's what's on the inside. This is what's so cool about this bag. So it zippers on both sides here.
Wow, look at that.
On the place for your cutter, your lighter, here's a cool little thing. When you stick the lighter in there, it's got this little strap. So if you see this it's so cool. I like this.
Oh, it's a help to get it out. That's clever.
Yeah. So you have one for the lighter, one for the cutter. It's got, for whatever else you want on. And it's the inside strap here. Well, I mean, the amount of handiwork. I mean, there's like a little area here. There's an area here.
No, that looks really nice.
The case. So check this out. So inside the carrier. Now, this thing is pretty cool because when you take it out, you put, it's down to, it's basically pressure fitted, and inside is Spanish cedar, beautiful. And I said, for me personally, this is what it's all about. I want this.
Yeah.
This is great, and it's great leather work, and for this. So what we ended up doing is basically taking this and doing, and this bag, again, it's beautiful, and they are available. Stamp them, and we got the old, let's see if I camera is.
Yeah, you could see the
LH
LH
logo on there.
He's got the LH logo pressed
But
into the
here's what's
leather
cool.
of the flap.
If we can take that, and just what he did is he added 2 little pouches on the sides. So here, little flap.
Yep.
I don't know if you can see.
Yep, we can see it.
Here, right? You put
That's
the
very
light,
nice.
the thing over here. And again, it's got the little helper thing.
Yeah,
where
that's
it
so
comes
cool.
out, right?
That's very smart to do that because they're a pain in the ass to get out.
I think that's cool. And the leather is just amazing. So you got the 2 little things. So what I decided to do is like, you know, this, but at the same time, I just love the quality of this leather little thing. And what I decided to do, something I'm going to release, I'm going to offer to retailers a sampler pack where this should retail for $250. You could buy something from China for $50, $100. Not this leather, not this quality leather, and 8 cigars. So I have.
So I just want to make sure. I just want to make
have in there is.
I just want to make sure I get this straight so everybody can hear. You're going to offer that retail around $250. It's going to have your 8 cigars included with that $250. Oh, that's a hell of a deal.
That's correct. Yeah, I think it's a great deal. I make absolutely nothing the case to it because I just want people to. And what I think the retailer that would buy this, for me, it's not really a money grab. You know what I mean? It's the high quality leather, and also get to sample my cigars. So for somebody that's never heard of my cigars, that say, I never heard of LH, I'm not buying that brand I never heard of, but they may want to buy. Well, I would buy that. So they get 8 of my cigars, and it's a good sampling. So I know you said you're not big on talking a lot about cigars, but I will say this is my Connecticut
tell us.
shade. So the band on the bottom is tan, if you see that, right? These are all Toros. So 8 Toros are going to be included. So you're going to get 2 of the Connecticut shade, and then the Colorado has got the brown on the bottom there.
Yep.
And that's the medium. That's the Habano 2000 seated Ecuadorian bottom. And then the Nick is the simple white band. Now, why did I go with the white band? I'm going to tell you something. When I first launched the bands was impossible. So I said, you know what?
Sure.
One thing we can get is white paper bands. So it kind of solved that problem. And at the same time, what I didn't realize is how much people didn't like, because it looks like, like a bundled cigar or a budget cigar. If you smoke it, you realize by far it's not. But believe it or not, or even next to my LH bands, and if you could see my LH bands, I would say they're more legacy looking or conventional.
Correct.
Right?
Correct. Yep.
So, go over to the white band, the white paper band, and boom. And I'd say, I'm curious, Mr. Customer. I go, why are you going towards that white simple? It just looks boutique as hell. And I'm like, okay, I guess if you say so. But the marketing behind the Nick line, very, very simple boxes I make for that. The LH now has color coded boxes that match just like the band is. So my Claro Colorado is a brown box, and my Maduro is a black box. The Nick boxes, which were I did also because it was a cabinet style, kind of takes up less space, and all about the cigar. I think that if you try a Nick, you will like it. I'm concerned that you have a good smoking experience, and that I can guarantee. Whether or not the LH blends or the Nick blend is something that you are specifically going to like, that's. But the idea is to keep trying different things. You know, everybody has their favorites, but I always tell people, you know, your next favorite cigar, your favorite in the world, is to constantly try new stuff, and you never know what you're going to find out there.
Absolutely.
And I love making cigars.
Nick, real quick, we have a question here about that case from John Lovell. He asks, will Lanceros fit in that case? So essentially, is there a size limit?
Yeah, there is. Lanceros, especially my Lancero, is a 7.5 by 42. A traditional. Let's put it this way: these cigars are 6 inches, so that's why I thought of the the Toro in the casing. But here's the cool thing about it: it's kind of a modular design where what this is actual real thick and very big. So technically, you could put any gauge cigar in it.
Just
but
laying
as far
flat.
as the height, yeah, it's pretty much horizontal if you wanted to, but you wouldn't be able to fit too many of them that way. But
Barry, real quick, one sec. Yeah, Barry, I'm sorry about that. I think it's because the Wi-Fi that Nick's maybe on is not the greatest, but we're getting through it. And if you have any questions, please throw it out there, and we'll get that reiterated for you. Again, guys, thank you for sticking with me. I'm completely changing platforms after this experience now. And it's all Nick's fault.
I don't know.
So it's totally fine.
You know, I didn't mention where I was, and the reason I love doing the podcast that I do from here is because a private club, I believe, in the U.S. It was founded. I was actually one of the founding guys, because from Jersey, 1992, 94 society, and lots of people know about it. It's a private club, and it's a beautiful lounge, and I love coming here. Lockers, the whole bit. I have better internet. I know I have good, internet at home, but at least I can come here and smoke anytime. And in all fairness, Ryan, I have a phone. I don't know.
No worries. No, don't even worry about it. It's coming across better, and it's coming across enough that we're able to still understand you. At least I am, and I will help with that. So don't even worry about it at all. So Nick, let's get into you a little bit. So what does Nick do when he's not out selling cigars?
You mean not cigar related, or
correct? What do you do outside of the industry?
I travel. That's kind of why I also got into the industry, because I love traveling. I travel all over the world, audio, video, home theater, designer. I did jobs all over the world, and I enjoyed that part of it. I love traveling.
What do you do? People. What do you do as do you fish? Do you hunt? Are you a reader? What do you do to unwind? I
do read, but I love technology, gadgets, anything tech related. That's why I was in the audio video business to begin with. I love meeting people. Lately, for the last 10 years, my life has been basically traveling all over the world and enjoying cigars with people that also love conventional, right, as you mentioned it now. But I don't know. I love, I do read. I love history. I love, oh, it's a good question. Right now, I'm just all about preaching the gospel according to cigars, more than anything.
Amen, brother. That's a religion I can get behind 100%. So when you started out and you started selling your cigars, when you walk into I've been in sales 20 years, all right, which is why I've always felt that this doing a show like this fits me, because I'm just a talker, right? I could talk to anybody until I'm blue in the face.
Right.
So when you first got into cigars and you started selling, what was your approach? And has your approach changed since more people have gotten to know you?
I don't think it's changed because more people have gotten to know me, but I've changed because I realized that I understand it's all about offering products that they can sell. They don't want things sitting on a shelf. And a lot of retailers, so what I've realized, brands, and this year alone, PCA is at least another 20 that showed, but I'd say there's another 50. So, cigar. Generally speaking, it's the marketing behind it. But what I like what I've realized now is, in the beginning, I was happy for anybody to, experience my cigars. So I wanted people to buy it. Now I'm a little bit more selective in the sense where I'll go into a shop and I'll go, no. Sometimes the retailer gets a little bit tiffed about it. They go, what do you mean? I go, look, no disrespect to you or your shop, but it's just certain, like, here's where a cigar like mine works, and from not heard of. You got to have a tobacconist. You got to have somebody that says, Mr. Customer, I know you like brand ABC. Now, I know my retailers are confident that whether they like that blend or not, you never know. It's a hit or miss. But like I said, the burn is going to be right. The construction is there. So to me, at least they're going to be like, all right, this may be great. I love this, or this may be something as they're trying it. But if you just put in some of these, mega stores, every brand, unless somebody hears of your brand in some which way or looks for it of cigars. But if the tobacconist, if the humidor manager is not saying, hey man, try this cigar, this might be something you like. The reason why I travel so much and the reason why I do what I do is because I like to support the retailer. I like to do events not only through brokers, but I'd like to visit as many shops as I can in people's hands, because I know once they put it into their hands and they've smoked it, there's a good chance they're going to smoke it again and they're going to enjoy it.
Absolutely.
So what have I changed in realizing that, you know what, every cigar is not intended for everybody or every type of shop. So the correct shop is the right. Oh, when you walk in, from meeting the owner, how open-minded they are. Do you hear that noise, or it's just me in the back of my? Anyway. So anyway, I love selling. That's another thing that I love to do. I believe sales is about offering a good product. Great salesman. I can sell anything to anybody. Well, I like to think I'm a great salesman, but I can't sell anything to anybody. I can sell something that I believe in, that I will enjoy or appreciate.
You gotta have the conviction.
Yeah, absolutely. And they say you knock on 100 doors, somebody's bound to buy it, kind of thing, and having one out of 100. But the point is, you got to believe in your product, and you got to let other people experience it, and that's what it's about.
I'm vacuuming, so you guys can hear my.
Is that what it was?
I'm not
Is that
vacuuming.
what it was that I was hearing?
No, you hear. So New Air sent me, because I my studio's in a shed, and my shed gets super hot. So I have a ventilation system right above me, so I just turned it down, if that helped. So let me ask you, since you said that you've walked into shops before and been like, not a good fit for me. When you look at that, are you looking at the humidor as far as maybe it's got too much, it's too big, you're going to get lost in a sea of brands, or it's too small? Like, what makes a lounge not an LH Premium Cigar Lounge?
Well, there's certain shops, lounges, if they are literally carrying brands, Macanudo and the brands of that size, they're not really selling some of the, should I say, lesser known names that are just, in my opinion, every bit as good, if not better. Or I don't like to say one cigar is better than the other. I like to say that it's a great cigar. The next guy may not be the cigar for them, but
correct.
I think it's the type of cigars that they're carrying have told me straight out. Look, your cigar, it doesn't matter. Nobody's heard of it. I don't care. I want something. They just want to sell the Marlboro of cigarettes. People come in. He seems to know Romeo and Juliet. Everybody knows Cohiba.
Yeah, everybody. The legacies.
And the legacy brands that people know. That's great. If that, and there's nothing wrong with it. But I don't. Every retailer's got their thing. But if a retailer wants to get behind a brand that is just different but good. My factory is in Costa Rica, so when I talk to retailers, I go, look, I have a factory that's in a country that you may or may not have nothing else. That's Costa Rica is a great country, beautiful country. But what's more important about that country, and why the reason I got involved with the family was because they were Costa Rican, and there's something about being part of a family. He's a great guy. There's good and bad about Costa Rica, and I'm just going to lay it out. The good of it is this: the quality of rollers that we have, and we're not able to go, man, I never heard of you. That means you don't exist. I'm like, well, I sell predominantly overseas, and even if I didn't sell one stick in the USA, I wanted this to be a win-win situation,
Of course.
But a lot of retailers, that there are a lot of brands out there. There's no question about it. But in this industry, there might be exceptions, but for the most part, they do it because they love what they do. So I think everybody is, you should give it a shot. You should try it. If getting back to Costa Rica, unfortunately, they try to be more like the U.S., where there's a lot more red tape. So to give you an example, the average roller in our factory makes about 5 times what a roller would make if they were based in Honduras, Nicaragua, Dominican, much higher. The import cost of the tobacco, since we do use Costa Rican tobaccos in some of the other blends that we make in the factory, but I have yet to be able to tobacco in any of the blends that I have. Some of the countries that I've gotten very familiar, comfortable, and have gotten good in the meshing of these blends. I use tobaccos from the Dominican, from Brazil. Peruvian is a filler that I like to use, that a lot of brands are just now starting to discover, and I've been doing it for 10 imports of the tobaccos cost money, the export costs money, the labor costs more money. But what it does do for us, the good side of that is that, like I said, 5 times what the average roller would make in any of these other countries. And it's not because, we're just, want to throw money around or we're so generous. It's because those are what the laws of that country are, and there's certain minimums that you have to pay. But what happens is Nicaragua's right on our border. So 20 plus years, because if you're, listen, if you could make 4 times more than what you're making just by crossing over a border or being able to go somewhere else, the loyalties kind of go away from those. So
sure, that makes sense.
So we do have some very talented rollers. So that's why, and the selling and the promotion, because I know the rolling part is taken care of. I never have to worry about, is that cigar rolled right? Is it going to have, I love the fact, it's a little different, and it's also something for a retailer to say, you know what, this is a cigar that comes out of Costa Rica. They call it a Costa Rican cigar, even though I don't use, because it's a cigar from Costa Rica. So it's a little different. The fact that I mentioned some of the tobaccos I use are different. The Peruvian fillers, and the way I get the synergistic of being filler with my Nicaraguan, I just love that mix.
Now,
I've
Nick,
really
real quick,
with some of the Brazilian stuff I use. Yeah.
Real quick, what is in case anybody's watching, because I do think Peruvian tobacco.
In case somebody's watching.
Not in case, but in case anybody's wondering.
In case
we actually, I could see that we have quite a bit of viewers watching. So thank you for that.
Okay.
But what I meant to say, in case anyone's wondering, what line of your cigar has the Peruvian tobacco in it?
All of them.
All of them, including this.
Yes.
This is very, very
including
good.
That. Absolutely.
And it's got a lot of pepper, but it's very smooth across the palate.
That the Maduro is probably the only cigar on the line that has the pepper, a little white pepper. But again, you mentioned it's the smoothness, but it's still smooth, and it's good on the throat
smooth
and the back.
Yes.
So
absolutely. No, it's a very, very good cigar.
I love.
So let me ask you this. You've obviously had an expansive career in and both out of the cigar world. As somebody that's been doing sales for 20 plus years, I'm a big fan of having a mentor, having either a life mentor, a business mentor, somebody that is willing to look at you and go, you fucked up. This is why. This is what needs to be done. I think you should do it this way, to where it's unadulterated, unedited, which is what I respect the most in a mentor, because you're looking for somebody to be rough on you when you need it. So do you have any mentors? You don't have to necessarily share the names, but do you have business mentors and life mentors? And if there's any in the industry you would like to share the name that you have as a mentor to you, I'm just curious what your thoughts are on having that in your life.
I think any entrepreneur or any business person should surround themselves with a group of people. You always need to bounce off ideas, and the guy that thinks they know everything is the guy that's going to fail, in my opinion. So my whole life, taking advice from anybody, you know, and the day you start thinking you know more than everybody else and that you know better, you know, or not experience life the way it should be, because
Correct.
you have one perspective. Do I have mentors? Man, my whole life has been about mentors. When I was 17, I saw a guy that took the time to pull me aside and say, "Kid, you need to do this." And that was in the computer. I got into the computer business and computer consulting when I was still in high school. It was, I had some very good business mentors. In the tobacco business, I have so many very, very good friends that I also consider mentors. I love people that are honest. I like to say that I'm sometimes too honest. I tell them what it is. There's also a lot of bullshit. You know, again, I'm not here to disparage anybody in particular, but you know, there's a lot of, like anything else in the world, marketing does sell cigars, and there's a lot of cigars that are sold. Okay, that's not what I want to do. I tend to go the other extreme. A lot of people go, why don't you post more things? Why aren't you out there, you know, doing more social media? I don't know. It's a hang up of mine in the sense that if you call me, I have no qualms about talking to people. Doesn't matter. But I don't know. I just I don't like promoting. I guess it's because I make the product. You know, I'm the blender of this particular. People like to say, "Oh, he's the man." You want to call it a master? I've been doing it almost 8 years now. I would hardly call anybody that does it, you know, the amount of time I have a master blender to be the main blender and the only blender. So that's somebody would consider a master blender. I don't particularly care for that you know, that name forever. So I don't like, people go, when are you going to retire? I go, man, ever since I've been in this business, I've felt like I've been retired, because
right.
Even though it's a grind, man. I walked into a lot of shops and I'm constantly on airplanes, but I keep plugging forward because I love having people try my cigar, and I love meeting people, and I love making friends. I love talking too, as you could probably figure out. I felt like I was doing a monologue when I couldn't hear anything.
You're totally. I appreciate that. Yeah. I'd rather have you be too talkative than not talkative enough.
I felt like I was like talking to myself blind because I couldn't hear anything and I couldn't see anything. But I don't know.
So Nick,
but anyway,
this is gonna come off. This is gonna come off fine. We're able to move forward, no issues. I do have a question for you that somebody asked you specifically. Do you think tobaccos from Africa are a legitimate alternative if something were to go sideways in Central America at some point? I think he's referring to government going sideways and kind of consuming the industry like Castro did. I'm going to kind of go off of that. So do you think tobaccos from other countries outside of South America can fill that void?
I think there's tobaccos we have not yet experienced that could become the next best tobaccos. Obviously, it's got to be in that belt region, which grows across band. Nicaragua 20 years ago was considered you know. And I remember when I first had my first Nicaraguan cigar, it was like, you know, this is in the early 90s cigars, and I was like, what the heck? But I understand what people were doing. They were taking their formulas and things they were accustomed to. The Cubans that were in Cuba, that went to the Dominican and to Nicaragua. Well, it doesn't work exactly the same way in Nicaragua. We're talking about a much more fertile ground that's volcanic, that requires more. You gotta. But what I love about today, and I love technology, and you're taking it to something that's the exact opposite of technology, which is tobacco, done the same way. But if you can take the technology aspect of the seeds and the growing and why things work, I think there are countries that are going to. 20 years ago, did anybody know what a San Andreas wrapper was?
No.
I mean, 20 years ago we knew what Cameroon was, but now there's so many different and there's countries that are working with it now, and you just have to figure out. Look, tobacco is a weed; it'll grow anywhere, but what it tastes like depends upon that technology, using the right nutrients to enrich the soil that'll get into the tobacco plant. There's a lot of experimentation and stuff that can happen along the way that it's a fascinating industry, and the science involved with it is just amazing. Wine is, I think, very similar. I a lot of the same, things about what happens in that industry that, before there was, you had your French wines, and then when California came around, it was on their place right up there, and it's just different. The same way a lot of people like to, smash and talk badly about Cuban cigars. Listen, you may, they like to say Cuban snobs. I like to say people just like brand smokers. There's certain people that smoke a brand just because it's expensive. It says Davidoff or something on it. Now, not saying anything bad about Davidoff or Cuban cigars, far from it. But, if you can smoke a cigar with about there's that guy that only smokes and wants everyone to see that band, what he's smoking, and that's what he's talking about. Okay,
yes, I call them
great.
I call them band smokers, because I leave the band on because I like to look at the band, and oftentimes I do believe that people that are new to smoking smoke with their eyes before they ever do anything. But quite frankly, to be able to have a band, and be honest with you, as plain as a white band with your name on it, and have it, I just lit this, to have it be this good so far. First off, I love the closed foot. That means you're so proud of your wrapper, you want everybody to taste that wrapper first, which is the way it comes off to me. But to be able to have a band as plain as this behind a cigar as good as, I just lit this, behind a cigar as good as this, says a lot about your belief in your own product, which makes selling your own product that much easier. So I also want to ask you, I know you started out by saying that you're Greek. I'm too am Greek. I know I do not look like
Are
it,
you?
but my mom's
You're Greek?
mom's maiden name is Tamaris. So
Right.
that Greek is the biggest part.
Are you half Greek or?
I'm about, well, my mom would
full
be half Greek. So I'm half Greek, half German on my mom's side. So I would say I'm about 25% Greek now if my mom is half. And then I'm a mutt on my dad's side. I everything in Europe is on my dad's blood. So my brother looks like he walks around with a coat on when he's got no shirt on. So he actually looks more Greek than I do. But yes, the Greek heritage is in me. I wanted to ask you, is there any sort of Greek tobacco or tobacco grown in Greece at all?
Oh, absolutely. It's a funny thing you ask because career with Sean Williams, and I'm sure he'll remember it because
Sean
I said to him,
Williams is from
Sean,
Cohiba, by the way.
right? Yeah, he's the ambassador of Cohiba, living out of Atlanta. I was there, and we got to be friendly. I said, what's funny, Sean? What do you think? Should I use the fact that going back, we're all tobacco farmers? That I used to spend summers in Greece sorting tobacco. Uh, and Sean said to me, listen, but I'd use that shit if I were you. So I guess technically what I'm saying, tobacco is in my blood. It really is. My parents, I mean, I was supposed to be a doctor, and that's a whole other story. But there was definitely something about tobacco that I was drawn to. I'm old. And this is no joke. I remember there was a chain that was like a Sears. It was called Bradley's. And I literally remember being in fourth grade. And a kid, I was a big fan of Sherlock Holmes, right? I read every book, and Hardy Boys, and Encyclopedia.
I love the Hardy
all
Boys.
These books, right?
Absolutely.
So, yeah, I read all. I think too. That's another story too. But anyway, so I went to Bradley's at 10 years of age. Walked up, and there was a little bin with corn cob pipes. They were 25 cents. I bought a little thing of tobacco, and I went out in the parking lot, lit it up, and there was something about tobacco that fascinated me. But I never had a cigar that I thought was like, I was like this, like the White Owls in college. You took my first cigar, and I went, what I called my aha moment, and go, oh, wait a minute, I can get behind this. I understand. Oh, it was just something opened up, and I just got the type of guy when I get into any hobby or my passion takes over, and I buy every book there is about it, and I want to do all this reading. And I went over to this bookstore, and I bought every book there was out, Cigar Aficionado, what happened to be the inaugural issue, and I fell hook, line, and sinker with this magical leaf and this product and this. Brain's always going a million ways. Is that your thing going on, or is that my ears going on?
I don't hear anything.
It's like you don't hear it? Oh, I hear I heard this anyway. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. You're doing great. I apologize.
That's all right. I just don't know if it's my headphones, if it's.
I don't get it. I'm not getting any feedback from you by any means.
Okay. All right. Well, anyway, I just got so into the tobacco. In Greece, we talked about there is a growing region of Greece. I inherited some tobacco land up in the in the Macedonia region of Greece, the northern part of Greece, and they still grow tobacco. Most of what they grow there is all cigarette tobacco. But I had a very knowledgeable tobacco guy in Cuba, and he said they had tested the Negro tobacco from Greece particularly, and they said it's very promising. The one thing I will in people, and they're constantly experimenting with different seeds and varietals, and we've taken a lot from them in that area. The same ones as well. Why are we still using the Corojo, the Criollo, the 99, the 98, the Habano 2000? These are all seeds that were all originated in Capes and the blue mold and all that. This is why it yields a better product. So we continue using that, but they're being able to make these different varietals wrapper that I use on the Nick. And I just think it's great to try new things. And there's some really good people out there that are doing. What are you smiling at there, Brian? Is it
Lou said that he heard it and said I was vacuuming again. I'm not vacuuming, okay? Not vacuuming. I'm here in my shed. I'm not vacuuming. I will be changing services after tonight. But so Nick, when it comes to selecting a country for your factory, what goes into that? How do you even start to say I want to have this country factory over this country factory? Is it finances? Is it taxes? Is it product?
No.
How did you do that?
For me, everything that I've done in this business has been very organic. The reason I even used this Italian guy in Cuba, everything is for me started in Cuba. Everything that happened to me in the cigar business was because of Cuba and my trips to Cuba. Peruvian, this Italian that, long story, and he said, "Come visit." He was a real estate developer that bought this tobacco land that could. We went and visited. I started buying tobacco. I like the Peruvian, not as a puro, but just enough. Like I mentioned, it's the get when I mix my Nicaraguan with my Peruvian, which gives people that okay, they're more familiar with the Nicaraguan tobacco, but yet it's got something different. It's that little, and that I believe is the Peruvian. But how did I pick Costa Rica? I'd like to think Costa Rica picked me in the sense that my future partner, I go broker, he still is. That's big part of our business. He was there, and I met him there, and I said, I've seen you here on multiple times. I don't know exactly what. And he said, we sell the Cuban government non-Cuban tobacco. And I go, wow. I said, I've been hearing about this for years, but never in flesh that actually is somebody like that, because Cuba will tell you it's a puro, and whether or not where that tobacco is used, who's to say? But sell non-Cuban tobacco to the government of Cuba, and in exchange for the legal purchase
of tobacco.
They let the cat out of the bag, but it does happen. It does happen. But I better not touch on that subject much more. But they also sell, as you'd say, well, how can they sell tobacco? Because they don't seem to have enough to produce what they need to produce. But they do, especially when they need cash. And so tobacco was being purchased from Cuba. And I said, wow, because I was doing Cuban blends from Cuba that were directly being sold in Saudi Arabia. More Cuban tobacco, I could make more cigars. I could sell more to my lounges in the Middle East. And he had it. And when I went to visit him in Costa Rica, tobacco that he had I ended up going halvesies on a container, and it just wasn't good, the reality. And then I tried, and even my Cuban, maybe not the Cuban you're used to, but it's definitely Cuban. What we realized then is if we re-fermented that same tobacco, we could do a lot. I think there's any aging process, really. It's just, from seed to out in the box, 5 months. There's not much there, it seems to be. In cigars, what do? They put them in their humidors for a couple of years because there's a second type of aging and fermentation that happens in the box. Not fermentation, but aging. So anyway, he said to me, hey, listen, did you ever think about doing a non-Cuban cigar? And I said, no, not really. There's too many good guys doing it right now, but what the hell? Let's try. Tours in Cuba, experimenting in Costa Rica, bringing every variation and blend that I made. My first cigar took me no less than 12, 13 different, and next was different. And bringing by these masters that said, no, try this, do this. Again, using my Cuban palate, their experience and knowledge, I created the first, and the bug caught me, and I just kept going on and on from there. So, like, how did I pick Costa Rica? Like, I really believe it picked me. I believed in the way of the universe and all that stuff, and our paths crossed. And there's a lot of great factories out there. And I thank them all.
So let me ask you,
including mine.
So let me ask you, because you said you do a lot overseas, and this is an honest question, I just don't know. Can you, as a U.S. company, roll Cuban tobacco for overseas because it's legal over there, and sell a Cuban cigar rolled by an American company overseas? Is that legal?
Well, the Cuban factory is not a U.S., right?
Correct.
My distribution company in the U.S. is called LH Distribution. We strictly do not deal in Cuban cigars or tobacco. The factory in Costa Rica, look, even the factories in Nicaragua or anywhere else, they could use Cuban tobacco and sell that anywhere but in the U.S.
See, that's so stupid. That's so stupid to me. Like, do you ever think that the U.S. will get its head out of its ass and allow that transaction to take place?
Well, I don't know if you heard. I think it was, the J.C. Newman company to purchase Cuban tobacco not too long ago. A lot of people love to slam Cuba in many different ways, but I think about it, and look what happened. 2016, when Obama lessened the restrictions and allowed more travel to Cuba and legally purchase Cuban cigars in Cuba initially, and then eventually you could buy Cuban cigars outside of Cuba and bring them into the U.S. Again, that was changed. Now that's no longer that do for this. Everyone's like, this is crazy. Why are we doing this? Well, it just brought more attention and interest in cigars in general, and opened up the rest of the world to more non-Cuban brands. You ask a lot of these brands out there that were selling very little, well, let's just say they're selling a whole lot more since that, oh my God, if the U.S. market now is able to buy Cuban cigars, we'll never see a stick of a Cuban cigar. And so a lot of these countries are smoking, the majority, again, 90+% of Cuban cigars, we're all of a sudden starting to think, what, maybe we should try some of these non-Cuban brands. And this is pretty good. Now we have a whole new thing that's happening as of the last couple months. The prices of Cuban tobacco and cigars. They want the Cohiba brand. They want it to be this uber overpriced cigar that, is it worth it? No, of course not. But people are willing to, one thing, human nature, everybody wants what they can't have. There's brands today that are relatively new brands that have come out at $30, $40 a stick. Is there any justification for that?
No.
In my opinion, no. They can tell you everything, but you know what? There are people that only will smoke that because it's that price. And that's
Correct.
the market they're looking for.
Correct.
You know,
Correct.
I want
And there,
people.
that's also
Now, my
also to
cigars.
me. Sorry, I was going to say that's also to me people smoking the dollar value because they like to kind of show off that I'm smoking a $40 cigar more so than it's bragging rights at that point, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, out of Costa Rica, most other brands, believe it or not, there's a lot of, and there is some justification for a bit higher price because I mentioned labor and import and export taxes are going to make it higher. Now, my cigars do come in the U.S. Sometimes, again, being more expensive makes it more desirable. But what I wanted to do is get more people to try this cigar. Price point I could get it at. Now, I may not make the same margins that the larger guys are making out there, but I don't care. I want people to try it and enjoying what I'm doing and living life and getting people to try my cigars. Now, I don't have buy 5 get 2 free. You know what I mean? I want to get the best value you can. What I can offer as a value is that I come behind that cigar. I will help sell it. I love to meet your customers. I'll talk about it. But $10 to $12 price point, which is, at retail, which is, should I be a few dollars more? Absolutely, based on margin. But again, I still have been sticking to it, and I encourage people to try my cigars because I believe if you do, you're going to like them.
So to your point,
message across in this video.
No, this is great. You've touched on a lot of points that a lot of other manufacturers have not. So I appreciate your candidness in this interview. So, to your point about some of the smaller brands coming out with a $20, $30, $40 cigar, really, like, the best cigar that somebody could smoke is the one that they can afford. So, like, when you see a boutique customer or when you see a boutique line, if they ever come to you and it's super high in price, do you ever look at them and go, you don't have the name behind it to really, like you said, justify that price? And, like, you're not selling what you could be selling if you bring that a little. I get that you're proud of your cigar, but lower your price, expand your name, and then down the road come out with a cigar that can justify it. Does that make sense?
Yes, but because I'm sure there's at least 10 to 100 people that have told him that already. In his mindset, he's decided to come at that price point. Whether it's because he has a big celebrity name behind it, relatively new, that's trying to re-enter the U.S. market in the last couple of years, that's very popular overseas in certain countries. And they've come in at the 30 through ownership behind it, wants to make it a luxury brand. Okay. Does it work? Instead of being able to get, 10 retailers in that market, maybe that's how they like to work it, and they want to stand out. So that's their business model. That's what they want to do. More power to them than the guy that wants to be, the Walmart of cigars. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
My thing is make a good product. Then let it all fall where the chips may, and if people smoke it. My biggest problem is getting people to smoke the cigar.
Oh, for sure. Absolutely. That's the hardest thing, because you can give a cigar. Like I talk to a lot of retailers, and they'll tell you the first cigar they buy doesn't mean anything. What means more to the retailer is that they return and buy it again.
Repeat business. Absolutely. And I tell people, I'm happy if I can just be in their rotation. If they like to buy my cigar and have it hey, I'm okay with that, you know. And there's people that smoke my cigars today, that's all they smoke. And I love that too, you know. Again, it's everybody's palate is different. Certain my cigars the best in the world. And then you have other people that, I never had somebody say it's the worst cigar, but you know, it may not be in their wheelhouse of blends. You know what I mean? And that's because I smoke a lot of different cigars, and Joe was like, I don't get it, but hey, it's selling. You know what I mean? Somebody must love the cigar. The correct retailer on Mayor wants to make sure it's a good cigar, but if they say I don't like it, and they're not going to carry it because they don't like it, that's one person's blend.
Yes.
You know, one person's palate. You should like.
Yes.
But I'm not here to teach a retailer how to conduct business. I just want them to give me the opportunity to give me 5 minutes to let me be able, more importantly, let their customers try it. You know, and that's my mission.
So I want to kind of touch the last little bit of the show that we have on, you were at PCA, correct?
I was not. I did not go this year.
So are you going to do...
that was a choice.
Are you going to BCA?
TPE? No. I'm not going to BCA.
But you were at TPE.
I'm going to TPE in January. I've been...
Okay.
I didn't go this year.
Okay, so what made... And so I'm curious about that. What made you not go this year, but then turn around? And let me set this up. So Robert Caldwell, who I'm sure you know, was he's very outspoken, as you well know. He very much made a... Yes, he's a great guy. He's a giant, literally and figuratively.
6'7", I think.
Yeah, he's huge. So he had said that TPE was a better event because it was more of a serious buying event than what PCA was. So without getting you in trouble with any of the organizations, what's your take on BCA, PCA, TPE, and what do you find to work better for a brand like you?
I think for any brand, this would work, but especially for a brand like me. Here's what I find, in my opinion, what's wrong with PCA. And again, it's all based on marketing, right? Everything is marketing out in the world, advertising, pay for play, and the trade that spends $100,000 on a booth and wants to do this giant crazy thing that everyone's of course going to have to go buy because they just spent $1 gazillion on it. What I like about the show in Germany, what I love about doing local events like I just did in Kentucky a few months ago, they had 20 brands there at the table. Right? And you got to go in front of your table. The same way when I was in Dortmund and I could stand next to the representatives, or Fuente, you know, Jorge Padron. But you know what? We were all at that point at the same level. Now, I'm not saying I want to put myself at their level. I'm not. They will try a Padron. They will try a Fuente. They will try brand X that they've never heard of. And you know what? They never heard of Fuente or Padron either. So your cigar, and I've tried the, I go, wow, which goes to show you, you know what I mean, that strip away all the branding and all the packaging and everything else. When it comes to really all about, and that's what the concept for me with the whole Nick with the white paper band. So I love Robert. Robert and I have a long history. We met many years ago in tobacco passion. And we haven't really seen each other in the last couple of years after pandemic and stuff. But he's a little outspoken of what he does with his open shirts and and everything. And you know what? I laughed at his video, and he's like, "Here I am." I'm like, "Geez," and he went there with a card table with no booth, and he was basically going anti-establishment, trying to make a point that says, just to hang a banner at the trade show, $2,000, just to hang it, because that's what you got to pay, the unions there. What does it cost to decide with a brand? And a lot of guys, what I've decided and what I've learned over the last couple of years, and I've studied the industry for many years, even before I was in it. I tried to do things, and I realized, you know what? It doesn't work. It really doesn't work. You got to do something different. That's why the majority of brands that come out after, they've come and gone, because they've tried to do things their way, and it just doesn't work for a lot of people. It wanted to go. There was various other reasons that I didn't go, scheduling conflicts and some other things. I wanted to go. I love to see all my friends in the industry and hanging out. The aspect of it, I missed that a lot. But I didn't want to just go and hang out, because I didn't want to be that guy that everybody talks about, and they just go there to hang out. So I didn't want to be that guy either. But I just think if you have a level playing field in so many ways, every brand has some representation. Some brands are all about gimmick. Some brands, like the Leaf by Oscar, my good friend Jim, thing about that, it's all gimmick. But you know what? It's a good cigar. It gets people to try, because it's got this ugly wrapper on the outside. But you know what? You remember it, and a gimmick will work if it's not a good cigar. The Leaf's been selling now for 8-9 years. It's one of the most asked for cigars, and in my opinion, it should be in every humidor. But that is so uniquely different, that stands out. It's this ugly looking leaf, and people should try it, and it's something unique. So again, marketing works.
So let me
I happen to be doing much of.
Let me ask you this. I was told by a retailer one time, and I would love to hear your thoughts on this. I was told by a retailer one time, I asked him what's the most expensive place in his humidor, because he had X brand wall, another brand wall that were taking whole walls. And I said, what makes you put a cigar down versus up? Like, what's the expense of that? And he said, every place in my humidor is the exact same price. The most expensive place in a humidor is the one at home, because that's all that matters. If somebody's got a 50 cigar humidor, it's more expensive place than somebody that's got 1,000 cigar humidor. So he said, really, when it comes to a brand coming in, their main goal is like what you said earlier. I want to be in your rotation. I just want to be in your home humidor. Do you believe that, in the sense of a home humidor is the most expensive place to be?
Sure. There's every humidor is different size, and every person that owns those little home humidors has different tastes. So if you can get into that, that's the best place to get. But how do you get? That's another story. There's been studies done where, if you buy a brand, and a lot of the smaller boutiques, some retailers like to cherry pick and say, and in the beginning, I was happy to sell anybody anything. Now I've taken a much more step back and go, you know what? If you're only going to take 2, don't bother. You know, for me to sell any big deal, because, and a lot of stores do that. Hey, the flavor of the week, because there's so many new brands. They don't know, they don't try, they don't care. They want to sell their established brands or regular brands. And you know what? I'm just not looking for the quick sale. I really am not. If you don't put something behind this brand that you've at least done well, you know what I mean? Now, having said that, have I not allowed somebody to buy 2 or 3 SKUs? I have, as long as I know I'm going to be there to sell it. You know, like I can go in with 1 box, but if I can get everybody to buy 1 cigar, by the time they come back, they go, "What else do you make?" You know what I mean?
Sure.
Let's see what else you have.
Absolutely.
But a retailer's got to get behind it. But there's a lot of reasons for retailers to choose and pick on what they do, and you know, there's 3,000 good retailers out have good cigar humidors in some way.
So in closing here, I'm going to throw some lightning round questions at you that I do with everybody that's new to the show.
All right.
What is your favorite cut?
My favorite cut changes. I buy every gadget. I told you I was a gadget guy. I bought even the ones, remember the Shuriken was big at one time, where they put the 5 cuts. There was the ones with the poker. I use different cuts for different cigars. Punch. You know, I do still like a guillotine and a straight cut. I think a wedge cut, you know, the V cut is great for more surface area. Go-to probably is just a guillotine, because that's what I've been using since the 90s. But on my keychain is also a punch that I like to use. I just bought this baller thing.
Yes, I saw that.
Know, I'm curious, you know, it's $125, but again, that's something could be new. Yeah, I didn't realize it was that expensive either, but I bought one. Basically uses some type of scooper effect, kind of
correct,
like you know, and I'd love to try it, you know, and see what it could be my next favorites, you know, cut. If I had to pick one, I would go with the guillotine, but I use them all.
So for anyone that's trying to figure out what he's talking about with the baller, it is a brand new, it's the very first new way to cut a cigar in probably 20 years that's come out on the market.
No, there's been others in the years, but the problem is they've come and gone very, very quickly. And you know,
but I do think the baller's got a very interesting technique to it. It's kind of like a punch, but it scoops out. So if anybody wants to see what the baller is,
well, that's exactly it.
Yeah, if anybody wants to see what the baller is, go over to Cigar Prop, which is a good friend of the show, Kevin Shahan's channel. He does a review. I think it's Cigar Medics is who makes that baller.
Yes.
And correct. you can go and watch his review. He does like a 15-minute review on it, and it's very in-depth, where he cuts a couple of different cigars with it. It's very interesting, and I think it's actually a cutting form that could stick around. So next lightning question is, what's your favorite pairing, drink-wise? Is it coffee, liquor, soda?
Connecticut shade, Ecuadorian. I think, you know, I use a very flavorful Connecticut. There are some Connecticut's that are a little bit too flavor. It's the perfect pairing with an espresso. I've been on this espresso kick for the last few months. I never was a big coffee drinker, but now I'm huge. I've been buying machines, and so I'm really into espresso of late. So I like an espresso with my Connecticut shade, especially in the morning. As far as other pairings, I drink a lot of diet soda, and specifically I like Diet Dr. Pepper with the
Yes.
cigar.
Yes. I
Just
will
love
agree
that.
with you. I will agree
As
with
far
you.
as spirits, I will have the occasional bourbon or single malt, but primarily I Dr. Pepper or even Diet Coke. I like to pair with that and coffee. Those are my two favorite pairings.
Now, you had said earlier at the beginning.
I do like a red wine, even a nice, what do you call it? Port. I love port with
Yep.
certain cigars.
Oh yeah, I actually my drink sponsor, Axe and Oak, just this is not even on the market yet, but they did a bourbon in a port barrel. And it is as red as cherry soda, and it is absolutely fantastic. So let me ask you, you had said at the beginning of the interview that you were a history guy. You liked history. So outside of Winston Churchill and Jesus Christ, who in history would you like to smoke a cigar with, and what cigar would you give them?
I would love to have a cigar with happen to like music, and John Lennon actually towards he smoked little cigarillos, a French brand in particular, and see what he thought of it. You know, I don't know, John Lennon. There's a lot of figures out there that come. I'll go with John Lennon.
John Lennon. And what did you say the cigar from your company that you would give him would be?
It would be the Nick, because
The Nick.
the Nick, yeah, the Nick, because I love this wrapper. It would be either that or the Claro LH, because it's very mild. But
What was the last book you read?
I am in the process of reading a book that I just bought on my Kindle, Cigar Bliss. I have it like right here. It's very interesting. It's about tastes and tasting of cigars. I just started reading that. The last one that I read, I've been reading a lot of books on intermittent fasting, to be honest,
I need to do that.
because it works. I lost 40 pounds,
Holy shit.
and it's not even a diet for me. It's like mine's that's what they call like the would eat once a day, and as long as once you get past the first one, the first 24 hours of not eating, it becomes your brain. I have more energy doing it like perfect, because if I was going to eat less carbs, I would even lose more weight. Right now, I'm losing about a pound a week, but I've read so many books in the last, so that's what I've been on lately.
So when Nick is gone off of the planet and your brand outlives you, because based off the cigars I had tonight, your brand will outlive you. But that's every owner's, that's what your goal is, right? What do you want the industry to remember you as?
As an honest and no bullshit kind of guy that enjoyed and was happy just to be a part of it, and to be able to have my little piece of that pie, to create my own stuff and have people enjoy it. It's what it's all about for me. Just enjoy.
So when it comes to rappers, now you can give me your favorite musician rapper if you want, because people have a tendency to do that too. but what is a wrapper that you love more than any other wrapper? And what is, and I'm talking cigar wrappers specifically. And
Okay, I was originally thinking cigars. Then you're talking about.
well, some people,
Okay,
when I ask
back
that
to wrappers.
question, they often give me like Biggie or something like that for a joke. And then, but the main question is what is a wrapper that you love? And what is a wrapper that you would love to work with but haven't yet?
Okay, the wrappers that I used to farm in Ecuador, that all my particular, which we sell to other manufacturers as well, I use all Ecuadorian wrappers on every cigar that I offer. Seed Ecuadorian, the Habano seed Ecuadorian, the Vuelta Abajo seed. I particularly think Ecuador is one of the best countries, if not number one country, natural cloud, covering of that country that gives it that, cheesecloth type effect, even with the, the sun-grown lower type of, it's a great country climate-wise for wrappers. So that's my favorite. I will venture ones that I haven't used. I haven't used any of the San Andreas yet. I use Brazilian fillers, some of the Matafina. I just had a CAO, the Anaconda, the other day, and that reminded me a lot of my Nick, to be honest with you. The look and the color of that wrapper that I would love to work with. Again, what happens if you're not doing this full time, day in, day out? There's only so many hours in the day, and like I've gotten good with this of leaves. There's 80 countries currently that produce tobacco that are used in the tobacco industry. That's a lot of different, and it takes a lot to get to be proficient, like if you use the word in a particular, to really understand and know what that leaf is like, be able to mix it with something else. So I've kind of stuck to the ones that I've gotten pretty good at, and I tend to go there because using those same, I can produce so many different blends, and a lot of things. It's not just the blend of the tobacco. What a lot of people don't understand is it's all about, you can give the same exact tobacco leaves to 7 different master blenders, and they're going to give you 7 different cigars out of that.
Correct.
It's like an analogy with chicken. You got people that produce that chicken is chicken. You can give them the same chicken, but you can get a Michelin 5-star meal from one guy and a guy, same chicken, but why the big variety? Because it's how it's cooked. And the word cooking in the tobacco world is fermentation. You ferment, and there's some people that rush the fermentation process, and there's a lot of people that and there's different techniques, in doing the ferment. Yeah.
Now, since you brought up fermentation and rushing that fermentation process, can you just take like a couple of minutes to explain to people what rushing the fermentation process means?
It's, well, for people that don't know what fermentation is, it's how you, food term is controlled rotting. That's all it is. You're allowing the tobacco to cook, allowing the temperature that gains when they, whether it's rectangular, and we use different types of pilones depending on the tobacco. Like we use actually a circular pilon when it comes to the Dominican, Nicaraguan, when we do the fermentation. And so what you do is you allow the tobacco to generate generate heat, and it starts from the center, and then the tobaccos are resorted and put on the outside. It's like trying it and trying to get an even cook process. So you're constantly breaking down and building up those, those pylons. And what you're doing is with these thermometers, proper temperature for that, to particular tobacco leaf that you're doing. So some people maybe let it go a little hotter than it needs to be, or rush about. That's why you can get the same leaves. You can give the same leaves to 10 different factories, and you'll have 10 different ideas of what they think the proper cooking process of those leaves. How's that for a short and quick answer?
No, that's fantastic, because I don't think a lot of people. I think a lot of people in the industry, or not in the industry, but a lot of consumers here. I age 10 years. I do this. I do that. So I appreciate you kind of explaining what that meant as far as like when you were saying rushing that aging process, because it's very important that you don't rush that, because a lot of that aging takes the ammonia out too.
The ammonia and all the excess stuff. Yeah. The nicotine. A lot of the nicotine too. We take out most of the nicotine. There's nicotine in every cigar, but I don't believe in the nicotine bomb. And some people love that buzzed feeling. I just think it's the product that you're looking for flavors and aromas, and the nicotine just gets in the way. I mean, there's going to be a little bit there always that you don't want to remove all of it, but made careers and lots of money and a proper place in this industry. And I don't take any of that away from them, but that's a different type of cigar. I want to produce with my name
for sure. And when I get people that ask me, "Oh, what's a heavy nicotine cigar?" I tell them to go buy a cigarette, because you don't want that, because you get the sweats, you get the stomach, it really can take a toll on you as a smoker and make you not want to smoke that cigar ever again, because it was excessive for your body. So in closing, Nick, thank you so much for coming on. I truly appreciate it. Sorry about the audio problems. Sorry about the audio problems at the beginning, but I don't know if
it's I got a black cloud over my head or what. I don't.
It's not a problem. In closing here, I want to give you the floor to close the show out, to kind of, again, tell people how to find your product, tell people why to choose LH over another brand in the humidor, and why to bring LH into their smoking life. So the floor is yours.
Well, the way LHcigars.com, I can assure you that if you send me, there's like contact us page, if you send me a note through there, I will be happy to talk to anybody that wants to talk cigars or LH or Nick with me. Why should they smoke my cigar? Because it's not your average Me Too cigar. The place, I have, like I said, in the LH, I have the 3 blends, the mild, medium, and full. It covers a big gamut of smokers, and every one, from the Robusto, the Corona, the Lancero, the Toro, the Gordo. I do a Petite Gordo. So you got different sizes. The Nick blends are 5 different sizes in that cigar, and I think those are worth a try. I think anybody that wants to try a cigar, there are some of them do sell it online. There's places. I've been in some of the cigar clubs. I know the Pravada Club seems to be popular these days, and they do carry my stuff there. But a lot say, hey, I live so and so. If there's a retailer in your neighborhood, I will direct you to them. If not, I will ask you to go ask for it there, because the more you ask for it, the more they hear it being. In the meantime, I'll direct you to a retailer that can ship it to you.
Awesome. Well, Nick, thank you so much for taking the time out of your night and for joining us on the show. You're more than welcome to come back, and I will have you back when I get a apparently I'm going to change platforms. So I will definitely have you back, and I definitely want to remain friends with you. I think you and I have had a great relationship over the last couple of weeks talking, and I've truly enjoyed getting to know
Absolutely.
you, getting to know your brand. And everybody out there, if you see LH in a humidor, pick it up, try it. It will be part of your rotation. I promise you. He's got something for every flavor. And the Nick, which I'm smoking now very quickly because it's just too damn good to not sit and want to puff on it. I'm actually having to tell myself to slow down. But kudos to Nick. I am puffing on this quite a bit, and it's not getting hot. So right there means that it's a quality made cigar for me in my mind. So thank you, Nick, for coming on. Thank you so much. And thank you, everybody,
having me.
for oh, you're very welcome. Would love to have you back anytime you want to come on. I guarantee you it'll be a better audio experience. But everybody watching, thank you so much for interacting, asking questions. I truly appreciate it. We had a great turnout tonight for tonight's show, like we do every week. And thank you so much. Thanks so much to Drew Estate, Smokin' Cigars, K by Karen, BAMF, New Air, and Axe and Oak as well for sponsoring this show. And thank you guys so much for you guys tuning in on a Thursday night, having a cigar and a drink with Nick and I tonight. And until we see you again, smoke what you like, smoke as often as you can, and add LH Premium to your lineup. Have a great night. Bye, guys.